Sometimes it's good to be wrong. When it comes down to the sport of boxing, it's good to be wrong sometimes. But when you're calling fights and thinking about the what fors and what wills, it becomes difficult to figure things out. And the upcoming fight between Tszyu and Tony Harrison is one of those conundrums, one of those times that things come together in a sense that make you wonder, would I be wrong if I go this way or if I go that way? But we will find out very soon, as the fight is coming up this Saturday, March 11th, live from Australia. Let's talk about it a little bit more.
For Spence right now, he's been throwing that right left
The upcoming battle between Tszyu and Tony Harrison for the WBO Super Welterweight interim title this Sunday, March 12th, from Australia, but it'll be March 11th for us. Time zones. This upcoming fight is a battle of intrigue. The reason that I feel that it's a battle of intrigue because you have two combatants here in Tszyu and Harrison who ordinarily would not necessarily be facing one another at this time, but have found it in both their schedules to do so because Tszyu was going to be challenging undisputed champion Jermell Charlo if Charlo had not suffered an injury in training for the bout, which was originally scheduled for January of 2023. As Tszyu began to consider other options while Charlo is on the mend, Tony Harrison let it be known that he would be willing to step up and take on Tszyu because he felt that that's the fastest track back to finding an opportunity toward the title. Is it a smart thing? Because Tszyu is a hungry young fighter who is undefeated, and Harrison is a fighter trying to find his way back into the sport that would allow him to correct some wrongs that have transpired in his career. When we last saw Harrison, he was out there looking pretty good as he took on Sergio Garcia in a unanimous decision from April of 2022. He boxed very well in that fight. Used mobility, used his jab, put on display everything that he does very well in the sport. But there are things that come about when I think about Tony Harrison and the fact that he wants to challenge Tszyu. He's going to go to Australia to fight in Tszyu's home country, and he's bringing his record of 29-3, 1 draw, and 21 KOs. Now, when we look back on his career, those losses indicate something that's very interesting. All 3 of Harrison's defeats have come by TKO. Willie Nelson in July of 2015. Jarrett Hurd in February of 2017. Jermell Charlo, December of 2019. What are we finding about these losses? We're finding that Harrison has both been down on the canvas and seemingly loss of focus may be his biggest adversary. Is it his mental approach? Does it have something to do with conditioning? Harrison stands 6'1" and has a 76.5-inch reach. He's 32 years old. He's a tremendous boxer, and definitely at super welterweight, he could possibly be the type of fighter that can make people respect his power. But when he disengages and loses focus, he becomes susceptible. Now, what is that? I have been trying to put my finger on it, and I haven't come up with an answer yet. But I do know that he cannot afford the luxury of drifting in his fight against Tszyu. First of all, he's going to the man's backyard to face him. Sydney, Australia will be kind, but they're going to be for their man, Tszyu. And Tszyu, who's coming in with his record of 21-0 and 15 KOs. He's not a devastating puncher by any means, like his dad was, but he's strong enough to wear an opponent down. And that's where things get a little iffy when you're talking about the two of these men coming together. Because if Harrison comes in and he's not as focused as he needs to be, Tszyu may be able to wait him out. You give him enough time and he'll drift. Tszyu, who's 5'8.5" with a 72-inch reach, is 28 years old. He's younger, he's shorter, has a shorter reach, but he's undefeated, and undefeated fighters are more difficult to beat the first time around. Will Harrison come in focused enough, not looking to play or play to the crowd or to be gamey, against Tszyu because he's going to be all business. That remains to be seen. And if that happens to be in Harrison's mind to be that way, again, therein lies the opportunity for Tszyu to come on. Because, let's face it, Tszyu can wait until the final round of this fight and blitz Harrison and get him out of there. Boxing is funny like that. But if Harrison is able to establish a jab early on, lateral movement in and out, get some body work in, then Tszyu may be hesitant. Then he may begin to think about, am I in over my head? Harrison is going to have to bring that to fruition through his skill set, ring smarts, boxing IQ. But focus is an issue here. This is a fight that I believe that doesn't come down to the talent of the men. It comes down to who is able to maintain just enough and wait for that victory to show itself. I have to say, Harrison, being a former world champion, understands what it's like to go the championship rounds. He's looking forward to an opportunity to get in with Jermell Charlo for a third time. But this is one heck of a test to get to that point. And he could slip. Tszyu had a shaky outing when he faced, in his fight, Terrell Goucher in March of 2022. He was down in the first round. Goucher didn't take advantage of it, let Tszyu back into the fight, and Tszyu continued on toward a unanimous decision. Goucher felt like his hands were tied. Harrison wouldn't do that. But if he did get Tszyu in trouble, more than likely, he's going to showboat and clown a little bit, especially if he's able to show power and a little bit of guile that Tszyu is unprepared for. But patience be a virtue here. And if Harrison, who has been known to fade late in fights, happens to get tired, if Tszyu is able to put in the necessary body work, we may see some funny things happen late in the fight. I would not put money on this fight if I were a betting man. There are so many variables that stack against Harrison being in a foreign country, the fighter's backyard, the fact that you have 3 TKO losses on your record. That means the referee might be looking at you funny if you get in trouble. And because you're in the hometown of your opponent, all they need is a little bit of something shaky and they can step in. I would hate to see something like that happen, but it's possible. The other thing is just overall getting to be a little bit older on the night of the fight. Harrison talks a great game, but we've seen a lot of fighters talk a great game and then on fight night not show up. What if Tszyu hurts Harrison? Will he dig deep? Will he pour in and pull back for the resources that he'll need to maintain and then to overcome through adjustments? I'm not so sure, which is one of the reasons why I'm simply going to have to go with Tszyu in this fight. There are a lot of questions for Tony Harrison, but I hope he proves me wrong, as I said early in the video. I would love to be wrong in this instance, but when a guy who has lost a few times is going up against a guy who has never lost even once, and you're in his backyard, and the deck is stacked, he's the son of a Hall of Famer. And though he may not yet be a Hall of Famer fighter, the ducks are lining up in a row, sometimes with a little help, if you understand what I mean. And that's how I'm seeing this. This is Stormy B Man. What do you think? Leave comments and let's discuss a little further. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Will Harrison be able to overcome himself to overcome Tszyu? We'll find out soon. Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.